Press the record button. Okay, got it. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for tonight's town hall meeting. And as you know, the purpose of these town halls is to bring you, our congregants, up to date about what's going on at the temple, and also a chance for people to connect and come together as a community. And of course, to answer any questions you may have. It's always nice to see your faces, even if we are on screens. But we do hope you'll be joining us for in-person services and events, including the Shabbat this Friday night, which will now be held indoors due to the extreme heat we are experiencing. There's still time to RSVP online or by calling the office. The deadline for that is tomorrow, so hope to see you there. On tonight's meeting, we'll cover several topics, including our plans for the high holidays, the issuance of this year's temple program book, and then some of the ways we will celebrate Israel's 75th birthday in the coming year. But before we get to those topics, I want to share some of the upcoming plans for the fall. So Rabbi Bazeley has been with us for 10 years at Untitled, and we will be celebrating that momentous occasion. So save the date, October 9th, for a family-friendly afternoon at Eagles Landing Day Camp with food, activities, and probably a mitzvah project to honor Rabbi Bazeley. As I said, the celebration will take place at Eagles Landing Day Camp from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. Susan Cohen is leading the festivities, so if you are interested in helping with plans for this wonderful commemoration, please contact Susan. The next planning meeting is on August 3rd. So other exciting news is about our Bima furniture. We are replacing some of our well-worn pieces of Bima furniture. We've been working with a designer, Gruss Studios, along with Lanny Livingston and a small committee, incorporating the ideas of our clergy while complementing the already existing beautiful presence in our sanctuary. So the design is complete for the rabbi and the cantor lecterns. These will be two pieces that can stand apart or be put together, as well as an additional table for handicapped persons. Hopefully the new lecterns will be available and ready by the high holidays. The Strumminger family has generously decided to donate the cost of the new Bima furniture in honor of Ron and Marla's daughter Phoebe's bat mitzvah. So we thank the Strumminger family for their generous donation. One more thing, in case you haven't seen it, there is a wonderful article appearing in Tap into New Brunswick, applauding the efforts of Jay Goldberg and other Anshe Emeth volunteers for preparing over 53,000 bagged lunches for Elijah's Promise. So congratulations to Jay and the team of volunteers. We are so grateful for the work you do for the community, and we congratulate you on this milestone accomplishment. Now I'd like to turn the screen over to Rabbi Bazeley to bring us up to date on what's going on with the high holidays and several other things. So Rabbi Bazeley, I'm turning this to you.
Thank you. And again, I'm really proud of all the work that Jay Goldberg has been doing with his team of volunteers, many of whom are on this call. 53,000 lunches given out to the people of New Brunswick. Just absolutely phenomenal. So a couple of things I want to talk about and give a heads up for the high holidays. Now, of course, when talking about the high holidays and what might be happening and what we're doing and what we're planning, there's always that little caveat of this is what we are planning thus far. As we know, for the last 2 years living in COVID, things suddenly changed based upon what's going on. And we thought we were on a really steady and clear trajectory towards everything being normal in the fall. And now the BA.5 variant seems to be throwing us for a little slip there. What I do want to mention with BA.5 is we now know a lot of people who have COVID. I don't know what variant it is, but it's likely that it's BA.5. I'm saying all this with the caveat and reminder that I am a theologian and not a medical doctor. There are other doctors on the call who can correct me if I happen to be wrong. I am not noticing, even though they're talking about some hospital increases overall in America, I'm not really noticing that with those who are vaccinated or boosted or get this variant, other than they kind of have a cold, or this is all anecdotal stuff. That being said, we're still going to be requiring that everybody be masked for the high holidays. There are a couple of reasons for that. The first is that we're bringing back the choir for in-person singing for the high holidays. We're very excited about that. We're going to have back-to-back services again, except for Rosh Hashanah. Right now, we're just planning to have one Erev Rosh Hashanah service. So please let us know whether or not you're intending to come for Erev Rosh Hashanah. I'll thank you for the information ahead of time. The seating committee will thank you for the information ahead of time. But this will enable us to know early if we need to do double Erev Rosh Hashanah services. But what we've seen in trend for the last several years, even before COVID, is that everybody could really fit into one service. So please let us know if you're planning to attend. Our seating will go back to the way it has in the past. In fact, the seating committee has brushed off the old dusty 2019 seating charts to help us figure out where people were. And the seats that you were assigned are the seats that you will have for the entire high holidays. There's no more back and forth like what we did last year. Now I want you to picture, because the choir will be there singing, everybody will be here, we'll be up on the bima. There's about 530 people who can fit in, or 515 some odd, that can fit in the synagogue and the sanctuary for each one of those back-to-back services. So we're talking about a lot of bodies in a small space. And we want everybody masked because of how contagious the virus is, but also if you think about the cantor and I and the choir being exposed for multiple services like that, what were to happen if second day Rosh Hashanah, the cantor or I or half the choir were to catch COVID, what then happens for Kol Nidre or for Yom Kippur? So we're being very mindful not only of yourselves, but also of us, and being able to make sure that we can have Yom Kippur. So that being said, we're going to be meeting with the COVID task force team at the end of August, beginning of September, to go over our plans to make sure that we're in a good spot for it. We really do think that we can have a more normal than we've had in the last couple of years high holidays, but we are going to be asking that everybody be masked inside the sanctuary because of just, we need to make sure. And I know right now getting COVID, Ian and I were talking about it beforehand, it seems to be more of a nuisance for most people. It's still threatening for some, and I don't want to minimize that. But even if we're slightly symptomatic or asymptomatic, there's still that moral obligation not expose others. So the cantor and I, that's what keeps us up at night. And I know he is echoing my thoughts. And we also want to make sure everybody in the choir stays healthy, not just so we can have the beautiful music that we're all accustomed to, but we want everybody in the choir to stay healthy as well. After the high holidays, we might start to see changes and relaxations of masks in the sanctuary or vaccine requirements for Oneg once we pass that hurdle. Again, we thought we were going towards this last year, and all of a sudden the spring changed everything. So I am putting out the caveat that this is where we are right now, and we're hoping that this is where we will remain for the foreseeable future, things getting better. We are also, for the high holidays, bringing back childcare for young children in the nursery school, and we're also bringing back youth programming. If you have kids or grandkids who are between kindergarten or first grade and going up to third grade, if you have a child who's in fourth grade or older, we really recommend that they come to the services. And if they are getting a little wiggly, because we know kids can be, you can send them out of the sanctuary and get a snack with Matt Vogel, or do a little run around to get the wiggles out, and then they can come back in. But we're going to have youth programming available for all of our kids. Our family services are coming back to being in person. Our interim program is coming back to being in person. And we're also this year very excited that our student rabbi, Ezra Leventhal, is going to be doing a special type of alternative high holiday service this year, outdoors in Rutgers Gardens, doing alternative-esque services that Ezra is planning right now. That'll be at Rutgers Gardens, and you'll get more information about that soon. And that's open to everybody, not just congregants, but the general public, and you don't need tickets for that. So that's an available option as well. That's for high holidays. When we're done, if you have questions, we can come back and you can ask questions about anything I'm throwing out there. We are right now working on our program book, and I saw Anthea Cohen's on the call right now, which means that she's been able to pry her eyes away from the computer for just a moment while working on the program book to be here. We have a really exciting program for next year, some remarkable speakers, some remarkable conversations and talks and concerts. Our Reitman Scholar in Residence this year is Gil Troy. You'll get more information about him in the program book, or you can Google him. He is an unbelievable scholar when it comes to Israel and Zionism. And what he is doing for us for Reitman Scholar in Residence is kind of where I see us going for Israel's 75th birthday. So we're putting together a lot of great stuff for Israel's 75th anniversary, which is more than just a trip to Israel with Rabbi Miller and myself in November of 2023. Please put that on your calendar. But I want us to substantively engage with Israel. Israel, let me put it this way. We have many things that we've been doing for the last couple of years that we're going to continue to do. Israel is going to be woven throughout our entire program book. Not everything will always and only be about Israel, but you're going to see a lot more Israel this coming year than we've had in the past couple of years. And it's all going to be substantive conversations. How do we wrestle with what it means to be a Zionist, or to be progressive Jews and deal with Zionism, or what's happening on college campuses? What I want us to be having over the coming year is not, the rah-rah, yay, Israel kind of conversation, but for us to really substantively and meaningfully engage with what does it mean to be a Jew in 2022 with a state of Israel that's turning 75. And how does this impact our lives as Jews? And how do we engage and how do we talk about Jews and Israel? And how do we kind of construct a more sophisticated dialogue about Israel to have with others, especially as Israel is seen as sometimes, being a taboo conversation right now in some circles. And how do we fight that narrative, and how do we wrestle with that as well? So I expect us to have wonderful substantive conversations about Israel. I'm bringing in some wonderful academics from across America who are going to talk about Israel, what's happening with the different treaties that we have, what's happening with peace in the Middle East, what's happening with diaspora relationships with Israel, and helping us frame those dialogues. We're also going to have some great fun social activities when it comes to Israel right now, in terms of our tastings, or in terms of a Lag BaOmer barbecue and picnic and whatnot. So we've got a lot of great stuff on the horizon, both substantive academically, but also social engagement and fun as well. And I do want you to put on your calendar to come to Israel with Rabbi Miller and myself, whether it's your first time or your 10th time. We'd love to have you join us, and there'll be more information out about that soon. But our program book is littered not only with a lot of those types of programs, but also a lot of the substantive conversations that we've been having over the last year as well. I'm going to pause right there because I know I just threw out a lot of information between the high holidays and the program book and Israel. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I brought up?
Rabbi, I have a question. Are the high holiday services going to be available on Zoom to non-congregants?
It's not going to be available on Zoom. I'm being precise with language so that
Or live stream?
It is going to be live streamed out for those who aren't able to come in person, and we're going to do it essentially the same way we've done in the past with live control and zooming in, zooming out. And we're also working with a sound technician, or we're trying to get CSAV, who did the audio engineering, to come in and mix the sound for us live, because we're dealing with so many variables at the same time. I know some of you have mentioned that the sound has not been phenomenal at services lately. We did have CSAV come in and take a look. They believe we're using the wrong type of microphones for the space. And we're going to try tweaks along the way, but we're not going to be doing anything until we get the new lecterns, because when the lecterns are pushed together in the center of the sanctuary, it's going to have a very different sound than them pulled apart. We're going to get different chordal microphones so that it'll have a greater reach. Right now, if the cantor or I or anybody who's speaking in the microphone turns their head slightly and isn't having it dead on, the sound cuts in or out. So we're aware of it and we're working on it, and hopefully by the high holidays it'll be fixed.
Yeah, well, my question was, if my daughter is not a congregant of Bunch AM, will she be able to watch services on the computer via live stream?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, the same way she can log on now and watch Friday nights. That's how we're planning to do the high holidays.
Okay,
Or as they were done last year as well.
okay, thank you.
Andrew Workman was next. So you have to unmute.
Okay, the services that you mentioned that Rabbi Ezra is going to be hosting, which holiday and which temple, which sanctuary service will that be parallel with?
The timing is a little bit off right now because they need to be out of Rutgers Garden by a certain time. I can't tell you off the top of my head. I don't have it loaded. The email that Ezra sent me, I don't have loaded for the times. It'll be in something we send out to the congregation later. It'll be, I believe we're talking Erev Rosh Hashanah morning, day 1, Kol Nidre, and Yom Kippur morning.
Okay, and then the seating map that is the last one you're backing up to as the base model, which year was that?
I believe so. 2019, I believe, was the last time we used the regular seating chart. I believe that's what, and if Andy Pover is on the call or anybody from the committee is on the call, they can correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that's the one that they're looking back at to try and figure out where everybody's sitting this current year.
Thank you.
But of course, everybody does need to fill out their form in order to get seats. So if you haven't done that yet, please do that. Debbie, go ahead.
Okay, quick comment.
Wait, Debbie Cohn had her hand up.
I did call on Andy to correct me if I'm wrong. So
Right.
Oh.
Yes. 2019, but if you weren't there in 2019, we will look at previous years to see what we can do. We always try to do the best we can.
They spend so much time and effort compassionately thinking about where you're going to sit. And every year I tell them, if you need to give up my chair, go right ahead, and they never do. They're so considerate. So, Debbie.
Thank you very much for arranging for some babysitting at the risk of jumping the gun because it may not all be set up. Is that going to just be on the morning services or will that be for the evening service as well? Do you know?
Just the morning.
Pardon me?
Just the morning.
Just the morning. Okay. And the family service, which I vaguely remember used to be between or right after the late service. What ages is that appropriate for?
So we moved the family service to be in between the early and the late service.
Okay.
Because it was one of those things where if you're a parent with young children, you're not opting to take the late service because that means you're getting home sometimes around 11 o'clock at night and your kids still wake up at 5 in the morning. So you would opt typically for the early service, but that means you're at the synagogue with the kids and babysitting, and then would have to come, go home to feed, then come back for the family service. So by having it in between, it means that you can do the family service, you can do the main service with the kids and the youth programming, come in to do the family service, and then go home, or come in for the family service, then put the kids in youth programming for the late service. So I
Right.
think this is a little bit more conducive for families this way. Typically, if your kids are in the religious school, it's a service that would work for them. So whether it's pre-K going up to third, fourth, fifth grade, if you're in sixth or seventh grade, it's probably a little too old, too young for you. But we're looking at that kind of preschool, primary. Yeah, pre-K would be fine.
Okay. I mean, they can always leave if they get too itchy, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
My pleasure. Any other questions? I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible at our Shabbat this Friday. I'm really excited about it. And also, I'm thrilled. One of the things that I love having us do every summer is having lay leaders chantor and give a devar. It's been phenomenal, those who have gone thus far, and we've got a lot of great talks coming up. This Friday is actually celebrating Howard and Carol Rossman's second B'nai Mitzvah. For those that don't know, in the Torah, it says that the average lifespan of a human being, or full life of a human being, is 70 years. So there's this custom and tradition that when somebody gets to 83, you celebrate a second bar bat mitzvah. In this case, Howard and Carol are both turning 83 and are celebrating their second B'nai Mitzvah, and I'm excited about the celebration that's coming. So please join us not only for the barbecue, but stay for the bar mitzvah as well.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah,
Question.
go
I
right
have a
ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Where is the barbecue going to be?
The barbecue is going to be indoors because of the heat.
Oh,
In Reitman
Reitman
Hall,
Hall.
we're using Reitman Hall.
oh, because I thought in previous years when heat was a factor that it was postponed so it could be outdoors.
I mean, prior to COVID, we always did it inside. I don't remember what we did last year. It's possible that last year we weren't willing to move inside because we weren't hosting anything indoors at that point with food. But now we have been holding dinners inside, so we just moved it and kept the date the same. So we do have about 100 people signed up, and we are using Reitman Hall. So the room is only at about half capacity. So we have plenty of space for the tables to be spread out. And we do require that everybody who's coming either be vaccinated or present proof of a negative COVID test that they took that day. So they have to take a test on Friday and show, you know, that they took the test in order to come to the dinner. Okay, so if anybody wants to come who didn't sign up yet, just either go online, you can fill out the form tonight on our website, or you can email or call the office tomorrow and we can still add you to the list. Any other questions about the barbecue, about the holidays, about any of our programs that we're doing this coming year? Celebrating Rabbi Bazeley's anniversary, which he's not going to talk about. We're happy to answer any and all questions that you have about anything that's going on. Or just, if not, we'll close out the meeting and you can stop and say hello for a few minutes. Rabbi, anything else you want to add? Ina, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I called this morning, so I know the answer. The children also they asked that the children be vaccinated. The only children that are not vaccinated are going to be children that are 2 years or under, I understand.
Right. Well, so we ask that everybody show either proof of vaccination or proof of a negative COVID test.
Including the children.
Anybody. Yes.
Will the interim service be live streamed as well?
Which interim service do you mean?
Oh,
One on Yom
with
Kippur?
people speaking.
Yes.
I need to figure that one out because that's a logistical question of how do we do it. We've done in the past by people doing it from home, or in last year we pre-recorded it. So we just kind of played it. I'd love for us to do it live, considering people will be in the sanctuary and about. I just need to figure out how we would stream it if we were to stream it from the amphitheater, for example. But it might be that there are so many people that are in attendance. It's a logistical question. The answer is I don't know, and I need to figure it out.
Other questions? No. All right, I'm going to stop the recording then. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And if you want to say hello, you can unmute and just say hi. Stop